Oh,
That looks like something that might have come out of
I'm
the
getting this-
old home
getting
week
it set
booklet.
up to start.
Yep. I was just waiting for you.
Yep, I'm
Okay.
just doing
so
it
she's
again.
not doing food there anymore?
No,
No.
no. Last year she rented it out.
Yeah, to Genevieve.
Yep, to
She's
bake
down
food.
by me. Yeah, she's got
Yes.
her place down there.
Yep, yep, and she's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So
Food's
then
fantastic.
after Genevieve went back to her original place, because she converted it.
Yeah, Genevieve, she's at the old Half Moon store.
Yes,
Yeah.
yep.
4 o'clock.
Hi, Tara. Hi, Tara.
Hi.
There.
Doesn't the light on?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm fine with it off.
This is good.
You need it on. Okay.
On a day like today, my lights are off until like
If Tara,
8 o'clock.
if Tara can see us in the dark.
Yeah, can she see us?
You don't look dark to me at all.
Okay.
Okay, so, sorry. This is my agenda. I apologize. So I will call the meeting to order at 4:01. Approval of the agenda. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
No.
Okay.
Making a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I second.
Okay, so so moved. I forgot what I was supposed to say. So items to discuss that we're continuing from our July 6th meeting. First up, review and discuss chapter 5 land use edits. Do we just jump down to number? Are we at number 1?
So the planning board has had a chance to look at this. You know, they had intended our last meeting, but we're gonna do another workshop on
Yes.
August 2nd.
So we're just gonna go, are we just gonna,
So,
number 2?
yeah, because there's no real
That's what
edits
I
to look
thought.
at.
Well, actually, I had asked you to put that on there because I think I forgot to make sure you looked at the last changes on that chapter. So I wanted to circle back to the marked up one.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, you're right.
Okay.
I think we kind of sailed right by it and started doing other things and never had you okay the edits I made to that. So I have that in front of me.
I apologize. Let's see.
Let's see if this is right.
Now, the meeting on the 2nd, that does not include us, correct? Just so everybody understands,
Yes, that would be just the
Correct.
planning board.
just the
Yes.
planning board.
Because we have our meeting on the 3rd.
Ours is on the 3rd, okay.
2nd of August.
That's just the planning board and Tara.
Yes.
And that way, hopefully we can work through chapter 5 and
So
I
if
think
you'll
it-
just-
wouldn't it be, Jessica, don't you think it'd be helpful if a couple people from the committee were there?
I mean, I don't think it would hurt.
I think explaining the committee's reasoning for things is gonna be helpful.
Okay, so I'll put it down and I'll just check my schedule, make sure I can make that.
All right, and then I'll just follow up with an email. Seeing who can attend or not.
Russ, are you still on the planning board or not?
No, I'm not on the planning board.
Yeah,
And
so I mean, I think if at a minimum that the chair and vice chair could go, I think that'd be helpful to speak for because I'm an outsider. You don't want me to be the one to advocate for the changes.
the 2nd and 3rd, I'm going to be at a remote lake in Maine.
Bill, will you be able to make it?
Yeah.
But Bill's both on the planning board and
Yeah.
this committee, so.
Yep.
Yeah, good.
Okay, so you want to just start us off, Tara?
Yeah, so I have put, you should be seeing the marked up one on the screen.
Yeah,
So I'll just,
We're
yeah, those look
So
right.
everybody's on this
Yeah,
What
chapter
page is
5.
that?
Chapter 5
land use.
land use?
Yeah.
Oh, it's on the front page, okay.
Yep.
All right, we're good, Tara, thank you.
yeah, so here we had just changed dwelling to housing.
Right, makes more sense. Yeah.
Made 45% be a number to go with something else in here.
Okay.
Oh, that's right, yep.
Just added the easy access to cities to the south via the state highway system and nearby interstate highways.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
I think we can go through this pretty quick. I just realized last month that I didn't accept the changes in the document yet. Why is that?
You might be a little busy.
Here's just a sentence that you guys added to this about the
Yeah,
transition to the highways from the railroad.
Okay.
I mean, I think you've all had these, but you haven't vetted them as a group, so.
Okay.
yeah, this one is important, this 11% and 65%. And then with the graphic that goes along with that.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
It's good.
I think this just seems a rewording about the tax impacts.
Looks good.
That's good, yes.
Yeah.
I could have sworn I saw some old large homes along there when I did my tour of the town, but you guys would obviously know better, so you had me take that out and specify 5 commercial marinas.
Yeah,
5 marinas,
there's,
See,
2, 4, 5, yeah.
so there's actually, on the west side, there's 2.
2.
There's 1 in the bay, 2 in the bay.
2 in the bay.
2 in the bay, and then Roberts
Roberts
Cove.
Cove.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
so I think we still said that there was 3 marinas on the west side here. I think that, right,
Did it still say that?
did it?
Yes,
Yeah, it does
3
down
of the
here.
town's 5 commercial marinas are located in West Alton. It says West Alton.
Yeah.
Yep.
3, it should be 2 of the 5 towns, 5 commercial marinas.
Oh, you just said 3.
No, we just said there was 3 on the east side and 2 on the west side.
Yeah, there was 3.
Okay, so I'm in the PDF, so I'm not gonna edit in here, but we want to say 2 of the town's 5 marinas. But it's
West Alton,
2 in West Dalton, 1 in East Dalton, and 2 in the Bay.
correct.
Right.
Yes.
say that again.
2 in West Dalton, 1 in
Yep.
East Dalton, and 2 in the Bay.
All right, so I'll look at this later and see how it factors in. And then this down here was about the summer camps that 3 remain. Is that right?
Well, I did realize that we didn't count Camp Mitina.
These are the ones on the shore, right?
Yeah, well, it's not on Lake Winnipesaukee.
No, but this is
This is about the lake shore, though.
this is about the eastern shore.
Right. On the eastern shore, yeah, and we're really only talking about Lake Winnipesaukee, but there is another camp.
Yeah, but this paragraph specific to that part of town that's on the eastern
Yeah,
shore.
I think it
That's
looks
fine.
good, Tara. Thank you.
I don't think it matters too much to the plan how many camps there are, but we're trying to get the feel for the land use trends. here.
Yeah, the only thing is, and I think I've said this before, is if you make a factual mistake, even if it's immaterial, people read it and say they have less confidence in what you wrote. You know,
Okay.
so,
True, and road names on a map are always, it can be a really complex development suitability map, but have a road name wrong.
oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
And part it's because that's all people are familiar with. So they
Right.
look, we all look for what we're familiar with. This was an additional sentence about in the docking for the island.
Yeah, that's right.
Good.
Not sure there was more. We'll have a look. I know it was all
Or that at
mostly
the end.
background stuff. Oh yeah, there's some added narrative about the future land use redistricting. And I think based on the planning board meeting, this is probably gonna be changed anyway, but
And one of the, just in general about, do we talking about Lake Shore in here? I guess we do, right? The idea of promoting more lake-oriented resorts and things like that in the Lake Shore District, it's not designed to do that now and to allow it. It seems to me to be inconsistent with runoff and pollution and erosion and things like that. And I think that we got to be careful of that because it seems like you're talking about two different things that are inconsistent with each other.
But I
but
think,
I don't think we are. I think we've said that it has to be coupled with attention to that.
Well, I think what we might mention, I'll suggest this to you, is that any resort type commercial development might be part of a sewer extension. If you're going to do it.
What about a little cafe on the porch of an existing building? Or I have a friend who does, or a former colleague who does yoga class on paddle boards. I think you're necessarily picturing a big resort when that's not necessarily what we're talking about.
Well, I think to be clear, that's exactly why the Lakeshore Residential District was put in place. In fact,
But it doesn't allow a lot of those things right now.
right, well, it
Right.
could, but I think it ought to be specific that you don't want to encourage another set of condominiums with,
Right, we just,
a mooring
we
field.
did
in front of
discuss
it.
this before and I agree, because I don't think any of us want to see that, but why not allow maybe another smaller
Well,
business
I
like
want
a sup
to,
or,
this has to be carefully worded.
yes,
Just has to be
in
careful.
my,
yeah,
Very carefully worded, because you're gonna light a fire.
Mhm.
Yeah.
in my
I
I
mind,
agree.
in my mind, I do think we want to encourage some kind of resort development in the Alton area, whether it's on the lake or not. But as we promote it, at the same time, we want to make sure that it's done within the rules and regulations that have been established.
Well, the other thing is if you're encouraging more high density type development near any of our lakes and ponds, the chances for more stormwater runoff, even if you design it correctly, is still a
Going to be
problem.
Oh,
greatly
yeah.
increased.
Huge.
It's still a problem.
We're not, and I'll make sure that the wording is clear, because that's certainly not the kind of thing I had in mind when I made that recommendation. But right now, for a special exception for a business in the lakeshore, you need 10 acres. And,
Right.
picturing the yoga class on paddle boards, why does that need 10 acres? I think you're missing some opportunities in that district right
And I
now.
agree.
And reducing that, yeah.
So I'll make sure, I'll look at that wording again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, when that thing you handed out before the meeting
Mhm.
about the Airbnb where the deli used to be. Now, was there any problem with them going from basically a store to being a B&B as far as the town was concerned?
I have no idea.
Me neither.
I would think not.
But that kind of activity,
Into a cottage
Right.
and she's renting it. And I had just given those guys a pamphlet, so that's what he's
Oh,
referring.
I
to.
see.
Yes.
that kind of activity is something that we would like to encourage. I do believe. And
No, I have to agree with you.
and where you draw the line between that and a
And I would think that
in a
she
hotel.
probably didn't have a problem because one of the signs, but she's already an established business and I'm thinking her zoning is that she's still within
Okay
that
with it.
It
zone.
was allowable within her zoning.
Yeah,
You can see it right here on the map.
right. So once you go outside of that zoning, then,
But
things become
that's where we don't want to discourage people from like putting up a bed and breakfast.
right,
Mhm.
right.
So
I agree.
how do you? You have some tricky wording to deal with there, Tara.
I thought we hit it all right, but I'll take another look.
Thank you, Tara.
This language that we have in about the residential commercial is what I think is not gonna get accepted by the planning board, but for now, I'd like you to.
Yeah.
okay, the-
Yeah,
I'm sure
I agree.
they're gonna dissect it.
Oh, yeah.
Are we good with the language for now anyway?
Yeah.
I think so, yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Future land use map, that's the meeting, I think we added that in.
Yes.
I think I had it as a separate file for that meeting, but now it's in here. so.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's gonna be changed, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
That's why we wanted to check in with the planning board before we go any further. And we added short-term rentals as a topic. I didn't look at this again after dealing with the alternative housing committee, and I probably should, but I think we're just saying some basic regulations to ensure they don't negatively impact. So I think we're consistent. I think what's written here is consistent with what that committee is doing.
Yep.
Mhm.
Because the proposal in front of them right now is to allow short-term rentals in any home,
Yes.
but have some guidelines.
I thought the wording was well done.
Sums
It
up
was
pretty
short,
good.
sweet, and to the point. Yeah,
Yeah,
and it
it's-
basically,
Yeah.
so I agree with it. Is everybody else okay with that? The short-term rental paragraph?
Just as
I'm gonna
it
read
was
it
in the
again.
paper this morning that Gunstock Acres is, currently they have a water system over there, but no meters on any of the houses. And they got a lot of short-term rentals in there, and it's been causing problems. There's so much water being used,
Oh, I bet.
because there's 30 people. in
Oh, yeah,
one
and
of those
people don't
houses.
think twice about showering 3 times
And
when you're
they
staying
don't
somewhere
have
else.
meters inside there.
It's not metered in Gunstock Acres, right? Yeah.
Wow.
So they were talking.
That's something they're gonna have to consider.
They got,
Yeah.
yeah, got to consider
They
it.
gotta consider meter.
So maybe it might even mention water supply in here and,
Hmm.
and waste disposal, like, do you do that? I guess, yeah, septic.
One of the things that we put in the draft short-term rental zoning amendment right now is that the septic system has to be up to speed and meet DES parameters. I think that's the most you can do with that.
Because I'm thinking that we have a bunch of short-term rentals on the other side of the bridge on Route 11, the old railroad bridge, because they run a summer water line up there, the water department does, and then they shut it off in the wintertime. It's a tiny line,
Yeah,
but that's all short-term, a lot of short-term rentals
Yeah.
up there. And so that could run into a problem.
This is basically what we've said many times in many of our meetings, with the focus being on septic systems and
oh, yeah.
off-street parking and adequate
And
parking.
Yep.
Tara, did you have a chance to take a look at that article about Airbnb restricting parties?
Yes.
It was that what, I didn't have a chance to look through that.
I just glanced at it. I mean, I don't know that gets enforced. Like,
Right, like who enforces that?
wait,
The towns, I mean,
police.
you know.
Police,
you know, that's why I'd like to
the
see,
main ordinance.
that's why I'd like to see the select board adopt some short-term regulations.
Yeah.
In addition, after the zoning is clear that it's allowed, because that's where you can manage the people a little bit better.
Yep, the more we have discussions on this, the more educated I think I am at the difference between the two. On just, just having the ordinance or, having something in place and then having a permit by the selectmen is
Yeah.
definitely an
But having-
eye-opening experience.
I think the permit by the selectmen is a good way to go.
Yep.
And then there can be conditions put on the permits.
Right, we're getting a little off track though, as far as the master plan goes, so we've got a lot to get through.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we can move on from that because I think we covered it pretty well. The short-term rental I thought was concise.
I think it looks.
And then the next wording change was in the guiding principles and about engaging the community.
Oh, yeah.
Benefits to the community.
I think you guys didn't like me saying you couldn't make everybody happy, so.
Right. You're not gonna.
It's not gonna happen.
But maybe this is a more tact way to say it. Right.
I think that looks okay.
Is that, that's the end of that. So I've noted to double check how we talked about the number of marinas and the lakeshore district. I think I can go. Whoops. So there's two additions to the historic resources from Russ. This is the first.
Yeah, that was.
Thank you, Russ, for picked up a lot of extra slack. It's appreciated.
I think I spelt abandoned wrong though, or that Russ did. Does that look right? Looks
Abandoned.
right to me.
Yeah, A-B.
Oh, well,
Oh, no, that's right.
maybe an extra space somewhere. So is everybody good with the new paragraph?
Yeah.
Yep.
This is right out of the
Trying to
text.
find that.
And the other one was toward the end where we talked about now what do we do, I think.
Right.
Sorry, I can't get it all on the screen at once. But
I see the paragraph you want to-
Do we talk anywhere about the Historical
Oh, here it is.
Society?
I had this backwards in there.
well, that's I think what we're doing now on page 4-13.
Yeah, look at 413. Just
Okay,
get it up on
well,
the screen.
And the reason I bring that up, has there been any discussion about the Historical Society having more of a role with the Gilman Museum?
Not specifically here, but
Not here, but
no,
that was somewhat semi-academic question.
But what we are saying here is that there is a way for the historic resources to be protected in a similar manner as environmental resources, like through the Conservation Commission. It doesn't have a lot of authority, but it can accept money and it can make comments and so forth. But it isn't like another layer of permitting or anything like that.
There's no teeth to it.
No, it's just, it's advisory and they can accept
Right.
grants.
Exactly.
And the towns that have embraced this sort of thing have done quite well with it because they've really preserved their centers, you know.
Mhm.
Even the town of Claremont, right? With the mills and stuff. So
Sure.
that's all that this thing did, was to specify that a heritage commission could be formed from the Alton Historical Society.
It's good.
What's that?
And we would get more staff. We wouldn't just load it onto the planning department. Right?
I can't say more stuff.
Breaking up.
Looks good, thank you.
Yes.
All right, I think that's it in there. So we'll go to infrastructure. And we're not moving ahead very quickly with infrastructure. Let's go ahead and blue indicates. So water supply is new.
Yeah, so there are two production wells. They're the one in Jones Field and the one at Levy Park. The original well that was drilled in the 30s is down near the fire station, and they're not using it right now.
I heard that somewhere. So
Yeah, I think I sent you an email from
Yes.
Courtney from the water
Yeah.
superintendent.
So where we say the the first well was installed in 1938 on Route 140 next to the, is that still right?
It's correct,
Yes.
but they're just not using it anymore. It's an
Well,
old
we-
well.
We say it pumps water at a rate of 160 gallons per minute.
It
So
has- How about the capacity to pump? Because it is still a resource. They could turn it back on.
okay,
They're not using it.
No.
It, yeah, that's not correct. It doesn't, when they say it pumps, it sounds like it's being actively used.
right.
And it's not.
And it's not.
We didn't. This, let's say this well is,
Not in use,
Not used.
not in use as of 2022, you know.
well, we'll say at this time. I mean, you're gonna have a
Do we
day.
know when
At this
do we
time.
know when the last time it actually was used?
I think when they installed the last well that they had,
Mhm.
they didn't need it.
That's when they discontinued the
Yeah,
use of
right,
it.
yeah.
So
When
what
they
was
I,
that?
levy
I'm not
bond.
sure of that, and I didn't get any, all of this is information that was available.
Yeah.
We ran it by Courtney. She didn't say anything different, so I don't have any.
It's the general knowledge that I've heard as well.
Yeah.
And, but I was
Right.
not sure as to when that one was
All
discontinued.
right, this doesn't make sense now, because now it says this well is not in use at this time. At that time, the reservoir was built.
Right. That's still there. We use that. That is the reservoir.
All right, I'm gonna move this then. That's better.
Let's hope that one never lets go.
So the only action item that we really got out of this was that as road construction progresses, just replace all the water lines every time a road gets rebuilt.
Which is being
Pro-
done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which
that's
is
how to be proactive, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
currently being done.
Because if
Yeah,
you're not
we-
proactive, you get the levy packs, how was that busted up, what, last week or something like that?
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Don't you guys have, oh, I'm not conflating this with somebody else, but don't you have a water system study going on to see what else is needed?
Not that I know of.
I think
Jen-
Courtney was working on that.
Yeah.
She,
Yeah,
the-
That's what came with the map.
The Public Works Director and the Water Department are working together to update all the information on the water lines, on the current water lines.
I thought there's no needs analysis in it, or
Say that again?
we should say something about that.
Can you get that from, information from Scott?
Yeah.
Maybe,
Because
Yeah,
we're-
I can talk to Scott about it.
just see what that is. And by the way, this map that's in here is old. I found a better one and I think I sent it.
Right, isn't it in that, I'll look, but I thought it was in that.
Yeah, and this version I got right here has got the old one, I think. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's not in here yet.
Because we're
Or is that the
reevaluating
new one?
roads and the water all at the same
That's the
time.
old
Yes.
That is really good information. to
I
have.
just took a
To
picture of
Just
that.
noted that
Which-
it was done at this time too.
Which we approved,
Yes.
that they
Still see the
start
fold.
Yes,
a full program of mapping
yes.
and documenting all the roads. And that's already been started.
I remember because I was so excited. I feel like we've been upgraded.
So how, any more changes in water supply section for now? We sound like we have some
I
more
think for
coming.
now we're good.
I have a tangential question, I guess. Is there a plan to take the water system information and move that into the GIS?
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
that is the
And
plan.
that's underway.
That's the whole, so the DPW, so Scott and Courtney are reevaluating our roads and the water, and I believe the plan is so that can go
And
into
all
the
of
At the
GSI,
same time.
yes. At the same
Layers.
time, and then we're getting that upgrade into the GSI
Into the system.
Yes, that's what I meant by, I feel like we're being upgraded.
This
because
is
we
only,
are.
this has only been in the last couple of months.
Yeah.
That this
That's
was
something that
approved to
should
go
be
through.
referenced in here.
Yes, that's what we noted. Paul's gonna get
I'm
some
gonna talk-
detail.
Okay,
I'll get more details from Scott, because this is only the beginning of it.
but my hearing ain't good in the environment.
Okay.
Mhm.
It's all good, Bob.
You want to make sure, I mean, the state has 2 sets of center lines for your roads already with a lot of data attached, so you want to see what you can get from them to start. DOT has one and safety, whole nother.
Any other questions on the water section? Okay,
So I moved right along to recreation. That's the other new section.
okay.
Anything on Railroad Square, the community center and swim dock? Let's do that way. I did have a question in here about what kind of updates, what's needed, what was meant by the kitchen is in need of updates.
It's pretty old, I'd say. How old is the kitchen at the community
At the
center?
community center, that's very old. It hasn't been updated in years.
Yeah, it's like decades.
Yeah,
But
it
still
needs
just-
to be redone.
I still need something to say here. It just begs the question of what do you mean by updates? Is it not up to code? Is it too small? Is it broken?
No, I just think it's just,
It's small, it's very small, and it's old. It's clean, right? So the community center is basically an old community center that is clean on the inside. The outside has been lacking maintenance and repair over the years, but the inside is clean and it's maintained. But because it hasn't been updated, so the
got-
kitchen is very small, could use some bigger appliances.
old Formica.
Yep.
Countertops, older sinks, that type of thing. Is it functional? Yes.
Yeah.
It's
Which-
fully functional as it is now,
Which
but
com-
could use to be updated.
Which community
The
center are
one
you
across
talking
from
Bay.
about?
Fox at the Bay.
At the Bay?
Bay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, with the old
Yeah.
railroad station.
Yeah.
Not the Pearson
It's,
Road
it's
one.
usable
No,
the
we're
way
down
it
at
is and
Railroad
it has
Parkway,
been used.
down at
There's the restrooms. It's just old.
Well, I'll just leave this alone. I've heard 3 use the word update, so maybe I'm the only one who can't picture what it is, so
Yeah, that's fine.
I'll leave it alone.
The
So the next-
outside, we recently had the chimney repointed and redone, a new roof done on the community center. And currently there's gonna be replacement of some of the posts and painting, exterior painting, that type of thing being done throughout the year.
Tara, if we use the word upgrade instead of update,
Yes.
Yes.
does that give you a better visual of, oh, they're just gonna, put in some new appliances and new flooring and things like that?
Yeah, maybe.
That paint a different picture?
It just made me wonder, is it up to code? Is it just
Yes,
ugly and looks like our grandmother's kitchen or?
You could say, handicap accessible restroom and a kitchen. I mean,
it's up to code and up to today's, to standards for use. Could it be upgraded? Yes.
yeah, like, though the kitchen is small and tidy, it could use some updating or upgrading or whatever. I don't know.
We're just spinning our wheels, just pretend I
I don't
didn't.
know what you're looking for, what you need more information for. It's usable the way it is.
Yeah, let's just move on for a minute. It was just Mike
Okay, so over to Jenny Douglas Park.
Alton Bay Beach and Harmony Park.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that
I went on.
Sounds correct. Yeah.
And then Jenny Douglas Park and I need to know what sponsors means here.
The Garden Club is responsible for the flowers and the
Mhm.
decoration of so they maintain, okay, so
Maintain.
They maintain the garden.
maintain the ground, I would say, the flowers and the decorating. So they decorate it for the seasons, for the holidays, things like that.
They plant, they put all the mulch.
So I'll say maintains gardens and flower boxes,
Yeah.
Yep.
because sponsors that's usually used for money as opposed to
Right,
action.
and that's not correct. But they do a lot around town, so we could remove the word sponsor, but I do want them to have like all that credit because they do a lot.
I'm just gonna change it to maintains.
Yep, that
That's
sounds good.
perfect. Perfect.
Main Street, the park provides hiking.
Levy Park,
So I'm going to go off topic for just 2 seconds here, but it's about Levy Park. So Jill Hauser, if you remember, she had come to a meeting or two earlier in the year she has been hiking up a storm, and wherever she hikes, she posts an update on the community page telling everybody about it. And today's update was about Levy Park and how awesome it was,
Good.
which is pretty cool that she just gets it out there to everybody. I just want to let you guys know that.
Okay, so can we use that to put a little more meat on the bones here on Levy Park? or
I'm
not?
sure we could.
Just.
I
put that in
I
there.
can forward that to you, Tara.
The only other thing that I know about is that the Forest Society holds a conservation easement on that park. They don't know how they got it,
Wow,
but they do have one.
they do.
That's all I know. So that might be mentioned that it has a conservation easement held by the Society for the Protection of Hampshire Forest.
It doesn't come under the auspices of the Alton Conservation Commission.
okay, I'll add that. But so the questions here, there was something in the notes I got about a historic stone marker, and I didn't know I didn't know what to write.
There's a marker there. I've never read it. It's near the trail that goes up from where the picnic bench is.
Is it important? Do we need it here?
So here are some pictures with Jill's update, and I'll look in those and I'll forward all of those to you, Tara. I'm pretty sure that she probably got a picture of the marker.
Okay.
If
I
not-
mean, we need pictures of everything in this chapter still.
Okay, so I'll definitely forward that because I didn't look at all the pictures. I just happened to see it real quick. I was doing something for business. So I didn't really read it, but I saw her take a picture of the sign and I know she had a pretty good post about it. I will forward that to you.
Okay, I don't think we need to say a lot about these little parks, but there was something in there I didn't understand about the historic marker. You guys don't know what it is either, I'm gathering.
York Park.
All right, I'm just pulling that out for now.
Yeah, I understand what she's asking.
Um,
What is she asking
the
exactly?
right here on the second paragraph, there's a historic marker at Levy Park.
Okay,
So she was questioning that.
okay.
The notes that were submitted to me said something about a historic marker, but they weren't clear what about it.
Has anybody asked Nancy Downing?
No, because it just came up.
I mean, in the past,
If it's not a big deal to you guys, it doesn't need to be in here. It can't be that important.
I think, yeah. All of these are, I don't know if we know what pocket parks are, but essentially she's right. That's what they are. They're just little areas that.
So it
we've
says
accumulated
Levy
over-
Park Public Picnic Area, Alton Bay, established 1923. That's on the sign. So I don't have a picture of the historic marker, but she did also post a picture of the map that's down there.
Why don't you forward that whole thing to her?
I will.
Yeah.
I just can't do it from my phone because I don't do that from my phone.
I don't know where that would actually be.
I don't like being connected all the time by my phone, so I don't.
You know,
I do enough. So like when I'm down, my downtime is my downtime.
Well, we use the term pocket park usually for something that you're not gonna go to it with your family to have a picnic, but you might walk to it in your neighborhood.
Right,
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
that's what these
That's
are,
fine.
basically.
that's fine.
The Liberty Tree Park, if I can talk about that,
Well, can we not move into one thing yet? So which ones would qualify as because it looks kind of silly having these little green spots have the same heading as the bigger places that you would bring your family to do something. So
Ginny Douglas is not somewhere where you bring your family.
No.
That just happens to be right in the downtown area, so people see it all the time, and it was donated, so people know it.
is it all three of these, Ginny Douglas, Levy, and York?
yeah.
Levy and. I mean, you take the
I-
family to Levy Park.
I would leave Levy Park
Yep.
separate because it's a nice hiking trail and it's right off the main road and a lot of people use it. I would leave that separate.
B and M.
I would leave B and M.
That goes, Liberty Tree would be kind of go with Ginny Douglas, wouldn't it?
Well, there's a lot of people who go there right now and play pickleball.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that ought to be mentioned because that's like what it's
yeah,
being.
that is
I would-
picked up immensely, yeah.
I would recommend that there be a different alignment of the sports facilities in the town, meaning the ball fields, the
Jones.
any
Yeah, maybe we could
Soccer
do that,
capability,
Tara.
Jones Field.
We could,
Yeah, because
And tennis
Liberty
courts.
Tree is really for sports. That's.
yeah, I
Yes,
think that's a good recommendation, Bob. Maybe we can group the sporting
Mhm.
parks together. Or where you can go and,
well, there are multiple ball fields at the high school.
Mhm.
There's multiple tennis courts at the high school. There's tennis courts at Liberty Tree,
Mhm.
right.
and I think there's a ball field there too, not to be confused with Little Fenway.
Right.
No.
I think there's a softball field
No.
behind the fire station.
Not that I know of.
No?
There's a basketball court,
Basketball
tennis courts,
Okay.
volleyball, and basketball
pickleball.
is volleyball. Yep.
Well, we ought to have an inventory of all that stuff. Because one of my hot buttons has always been that the town doesn't have anything analogous to what Wolfboro has at, what's it called?
The
The
Nick,
neck.
You're talking about
The
the
Nick.
Nick, yeah.
Mhm.
And we ought to have something like that.
we're not Wolfboro.
I know we're not Wolfboro, but Alton's missing something there.
So who's gonna follow? I need somebody to follow up and give me the additional details and all that you want here.
I will do that. And what do we want?
I've kind of lost you by now.
Okay. I kind of did too. That's why I asked.
Basically an inventory of all the sporting facilities in the town.
That's it. That's it.
Only the ones that are available to the public, I think.
Public.
Right,
Correct.
that's it. Exactly.
And some help reorganizing this because I just did it in the order I got the notes.
Okay. Yeah, and that's how I did it according to the list I got. So I will pretty this up. Okay.
And I think I created that list from something I saw on the town website.
Yep.
We may be continuing an error or not, but
So B&M Pack, okay, Depot Street, Alton Railroad Station.
so can we just, so are there really only two that you'd call pocket parks, the Ginny Douglas and York and,
Yes.
okay.
Do we
Yeah, and
capture
under the
one-
B&M Park, it has the caboose, the playground area. It also has, that freight building is used, that freight building is the historical societies.
Right.
It's got a lot of
Stuff.
stuff in it. I mean, we never see it, but it's the historical
Lot of
societies
history.
and it's in there. So I don't know if we should,
We say
Mention.
the word freight building, so do we just say used by the Historical Society?
Yeah,
yes,
that'd be fine.
please.
Yeah, you don't want to say that there's a lot of neat stuff in there.
No, because then people might want to see it.
Might actually want to use it.
Or somebody might steal it or something.
Right.
Just an honorary mention.
Kelly, did you capture the little park that's on the corner of Quarry Road and Old Wolfboro?
Oh,
In Gilman. Toward
the
Gilman
corner there?
Gilman Corner.
Yeah.
A
there's
Gilman Pond,
No,
I
I
have.
don't know what,
No.
I don't have any idea what name it is.
Quarry Road and Gilman Corner Road. And it's a little, it's got in fact, we got a picture of it in here.
Yeah, I have a picture of it.
Was,
Is it something common?
Yes, it's something commons, right? It was
oh,
done
that was
by
in the last section, right? Was that?
Yeah, it's got a,
We didn't write about it. I just used it as a
but that's
decoration.
what it is. That's what he's talking about. It's a little,
Okay.
it's got like a settee and
Skate park at least 25
it
years
is, that would be
old.
like a pocket park for sure.
All right, so Liberty Tree Park, the tennis courts are heavily used and often have a waiting list. The playground equipment and skate park are at least 25 years old. And
Yeah,
Well-
why are we, because I got that, so why, who cares? Do they need,
well,
need
because I
something?
believe that it is in need of some upgrading. There's that word again, and I don't know anything else to say to that, so.
That's all right,
You're saying the right thing. It's an upgrade.
but I just didn't want to presume that's what we were saying and.
Right.
Okay.
And parking is an issue. It's not sometimes an issue, it's an issue. There's hardly any parking there. And when people are there for sports, it's hard for them to park because it's, the water department is there, but it's technically the Liberty Tree Park parking. So
Mhm.
it is an issue.
Could you put the word pickleball in there too?
Not yet. Parking is an ongoing issue, especially, would that make sense?
Yeah. you-
That would
yep.
make sense, yes.
All right, where are we putting pickleball and,
Well, it's tennis, pickleball, but that is probably being used more for that right now than
It is being
anything.
used more for pickleball.
where am I putting it? After tennis?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would just do tennis courts are heavily used for tennis and pickleball or,
Well,
That would sum it up.
Yeah.
by the way, there are more tennis courts at the high school than the ones at the fire station.
Right.
And I don't think those get much public use at all.
my impression is that there's a lack of communication between the schools and the Parks and Rec Department. I know the Parks and Rec Department would like to get into the schools a little bit more and utilize them.
Well,
That's been
maybe
having an
that's
issue.
something we need to,
I believe
reference to.
I believe that's in here. We'll get
Okay.
to it.
Tara, I think she was talking about the next sentence that starts off with the tennis courts.
After Mary,
Okay,
yep.
so now that I'm in the right sentence, what am I saying?
Tennis courts are heavily used for pickleball.
Heavily used for tennis and pickleball.
Yes.
There you go.
I don't know how to write pickleball.
Pickleball.
One word?
Yep,
Yes.
I just looked it up.
I have no idea what it is.
It's a rage for old people.
It's hugely
It's growing.
popular. It's hugely popular.
In the last 2 years, it has really gotten popular.
And if you
First
didn't
time I
mention
saw
it, people
was
would
in-
think you missed something.
All right, well, we got it now.
Okay,
At Jones Field, there are only 2 fields.
Right.
are they both Little League or softball? One Little League and one for softball, or both
They're both interchangeable.
are interchangeable?
Mhm.
Okay. If 45-foot base, not,
Little League, and they usually the same.
Yep. The field, 2
It's
fields,
not-
located letter S,
not
140.
big person baseball.
The Parks and Recreation Department does not any longer run the soccer program.
Does anybody?
It's outsourced to the Revolution United. So it's not handled by the town at all anymore.
where do they play? The high school?
They play at the high school.
Yeah.
Yep.
Is on Trask Side Road, there's a conservation trail there.
Right. That
Well,
was,
we
that's
do
That
down
have-
was,
below.
which one, what was the name of that one?
Trash Swamp.
Trask Swamp.
Yeah, that's LRCT's property.
Okay.
And Cotton Herd is LRCT. When we get to that, we got to reword that a little bit.
Mhm.
You
Boat
make a
trailers.
statement here, adjoining conservation land may provide an opportunity to expand the recreation area when you're talking about Jones Field, right? That belongs to the state. That's the state forest.
Oh. So who,
I don't think that that's a right sentence. I think that should be deleted.
Well, a couple of years ago, we had an activity with the Olin for Alton and the ABA to try and clean up the trail that goes around by where,
Yeah, that was just the All in for Alton group. We did the loop trail.
yeah.
Yep.
But
Is
So-
that state
no, but
property?
they're
or-
talking about the conservation land may provide an opportunity to expand the recreation area. If you're thinking of expanding ball fields into a state forest, I don't
That
see
ain't
how
gonna
that can
happen.
happen.
Okay.
So who did that come from your rec director or?
That did come from the rec director.
So we'll move this sentence about the fields there and take that out. Is that right?
Yeah.
Does the rec department maintain the fields at the middle school or at Alton Central?
No,
They don't.
No,
That's
that's
done
the
by the
school.
school.
Yep.
We ready to, for now, I know someone will give me more about fields and whatnot. Are we ready to go on to indoor facilities?
yes, let's see.
I have an issue there with the first sentence where you say provides health, fitness and recreational activities.
Mm-mm.
When you read that, you think that they got a gym or something there. The only fitness activities that they do is yoga.
Yeah.
So somehow we need to,
And they also prefer to call the Alton Community Center on Pearson Road instead of the senior
Senior center.
center because they want it to be realized that it's a community building and not just for seniors, even though most people think of it as the senior center.
Yep.
So if we could change that first line to the Alton Community Center on Pearson Road.
Are we just taking fitness out?
We're gonna take out the third word senior and
Senior.
replace it with community and
Yeah, I
then
got that.
take out, and then take out, I would take out health and fitness. Because I mean, yoga is occasional. They do provide recreational activities, but health and fitness is,
yeah, they play cards.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
just take out health and fitness altogether.
Cards are heavy.
Would you call it social and recreational activities?
Yes.
Cards?
I think that would be more spot on. Social and recreational activities.
For seniors?
Mostly.
So, and I would like to include within this section as well, that because it does seem to focus primarily on seniors, and even though it is currently primarily used by seniors, I do feel that they're trying to make it more well-rounded for the community. So if we could just make it more for everybody and less about just seniors.
Well, speaking for the Rotary, we do make a lot of use of that building.
Yes, but I want it to reflect in that, right? It just says senior, senior lunches, senior, senior,
Right.
senior.
Has there been interest for other people to use it besides the seniors in Rotary?
No, but I think that's the whole reason why they're trying to call it the Alton Community Center on Pearson Road, right? I'm just saying this is what they're trying to do, so I'm just trying to reflect that.
Who's they?
The town was my impression. That's why we call it the Alton Community Center
Mhm.
on Pearson Road now, and I still have to think about it.
Yeah, I know. And I'm just, yeah.
So for the first sentence, are there activities for anybody except seniors right now?
No, it's
Not really.
basically a, just like the other community center in town, it's a building, it's there, and you can
Right.
utilize it. Right,
It's-
but it doesn't, but the only people that actually utilize it now are the seniors and the Rotary primarily. And we do host meetings there. So some
also
other
has-
organizations use the facility to host meetings and things,
Which also
but,
has a nice kitchen.
and it has a
Nice
very nice
kitchen and-
kitchen.
and-
One of the
Yep.
things that needs to be said in this section, that it's operated by CAP, the Community Action Program.
Yeah,
And they do the Meals on Wheels.
Yep.
And also the lunches for the seniors.
I'll work on this a little bit more too, Tara, and I'll get with you, Bob, to get some information on CAP and try to send that along as well.
Okay. Can we, so for now, the center is available for rental use and meetings of who? Who gets to have a meeting there without paying?
Well, Rotary you
Rotary
say
Club.
weekly.
I would say town organizations.
Town organizations, the ABA has
Yeah,
met
and I
there,
would- and I
has
would-
met there in the past.
Yeah, I would consider that a town like
Yep.
organization, right? So it's
Yep.
an organization or group that comes together to benefit the town. So whether that's a kids group or an ABA group or a Rotary group or whoever, it's townspeople to benefit the town.
So is this right then, if we say the center is available for rental use or for meetings of town organizations?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
Yes.
Can you
Okay,
just
so,
move?
yeah, I'll also, that summed it up for me. I just want to make it clear that it's available for anybody to.
Yeah.
rent,
Yes.
right?
And the rent is cheap.
It's not necessarily for seniors, and that's why I was asking if there is that,
Right.
has there been a
Right.
lot of interest in
And-
other people using it?
and-
And it should be.
As a matter of fact, when I went to the Parks and Rec Community Forum a few weeks back, there was discussion about utilizing that building more for some, maybe like a teen activity or something like that, because people want to see more for like that young teen, say 13 to 16 or 12 to 15 before they're driving, that there's not a lot. So we said, hey, you can host here. There's a pool table up there. I mean, it's out of the Railroad Park Community Center and the Pearson Road Community Center. The Pearson Road Community Center is much larger, has a very nice functional kitchen. It's clearly new and just larger. So,
So
Just
why aren't we saying that in here?
right. So, yeah,
Not
because
really tying it together, but I asked the question of, could that become the all age community center that people are asking for?
So when I just looked on the town's website, the Park and Rec Department's form that you fill out to rent that space, and they have it listed as the Pearson Road Community Center. So they're not, so even
All
the
in the seniors.
town's not specifying it as a senior center.
right, that's what I'm saying. They're
Right.
calling it the Pearson Road
Yep.
Community Center.
More and more.
Yes.
And that's proper.
So I will add some more to that and
Kelly, did Kelly Trundle tell you that it needed a new roof? We were on, we thought it had a relatively new roof.
I myself looked at that and know it needs a roof.
Okay,
And the fact that it's was leaking buckets of water in the office over there on multiple days when I was there led me to the conclusion that it
Okay.
needed a
That tipped
roof.
you off, yeah.
also,
And when you go in and
This
you
hasn't been
see
brought-
all the areas,
I don't think it's been brought to the selectmen as of yet.
It might be one of the CIP items.
yes. So I did,
Could be.
yeah, I did have a conversation.
okay, also relative to the sheltered outdoor
Mhm.
capability, Rotary's been looking into
Right.
doing something there.
Yes.
And I don't know how you make mention of it.
We can
That's
mention that.
You were
So-
talking about the outside,
Yeah,
Correct.
like the
having
pavilion.
a covered roof
The
on the
pavilion.
outside for outside functions.
Yeah.
I remember hearing a little bit
Yeah,
about
we've
that.
been,
Yes.
we've
about a
been
year
working
ago.
on
We
that.
talked about
We
that about a
tabled
year
it
ago. Yeah.
For the time being.
So Bob, I will pretty this up and I'll get with you too, and we can kind of go over some more things about that.
Okay,
Awesome.
good.
All right. Anything else in this section?
So
Uh,
just to keep in mind, I don't have any action items from water or recreation or any of this. So, somebody needs to do that too.
Okay, well, we
just
definitely
to
need
finish
action
up the
items.
section.
And I
Well,
think
comments.
once these are done, then I can probably draft something to, for a starting point.
All right, that sounds good. One more question, Bob?
Yeah, on the next paragraph.
Mhm.
Somehow that needs to get a bigger, I don't know, visibility or focus. After the All-in Peralton exercise, there was a committee set up to look into a full, tennis, indoor tennis courts and that kind of thing, locker room, et cetera. And it died on the vine when the person who was driving it from the select board point of view didn't win re-election.
Mhm.
And somehow, I think that's something worth being reinvigorated at the town level. And I don't know how you phrase that in the master plan, but it needs to be a serious activity. Maybe that is an action plan item that the town investigate the feasibility of an all-purpose recreation facility.
And that's why I would consider it an all-purpose recreational facility. I don't think we had any definitive idea of what it would be, just an
Right.
all-ages facility. When we were looking into that, we were really just looking at a very broad, kind of like how we approached the master plan. That's exactly how we approached.
Yep. But I think in the master plan, we want to say something very concrete in that direction.
As to what you're referring to as far as a facility, to how, what it would have.
In addition to what we have, what we're lacking.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you want to be clear whether you're, that's why I asked the question here of whether you have the potential to make the Pearson Road Community Center be what you're talking about.
So-
There's not enough area there to.
There's not. So I'm just gonna say this, as somebody that I co-chaired the community profile. I carried the All in for Alton group for a while. I'm on the master plan committee. But that's a hard topic.
I
right?
know.
No. And I
It is.
understand. You're absolutely right. It should be mentioned. Absolutely. But we're right now with the spectrum being here and here, we need to kind of come here right now for the time being. So when,
This plan's supposed to see for 10 years.
yes.
Mhm.
So yes, it
It's
should. be
probably
in the
going to
plan.
take that long to do anything in this area.
Yeah.
But it needs to have some visibility in the master plan, a little bit stronger than this little paragraph.
Right. And so again, we can try to come up with something that we think would fit. We can go over it again as a
Something we
group.
could talk a little more about.
Yes.
I think it needs to.
Because I agree that it definitely needs to be in the plan, but I also think that right now, currently, because that needs to be in the plan, because the plan goes for 10 years, right? But right now, we're obviously not there. And I went to the Parks and Rec Forum because I did want to see hopefully some, like the Pearson Road Community Center get utilized a little bit more, right? So then we can show that there is a need or a want for these activities, but that's not as easy because we still
No, it's
have not enough people in positions, not enough volunteers. So there's a whole plethora of reasons why, you know what I mean? But what I did suggest to the Parks and Rec Commission was that we try to utilize the Pearson Road Community Center a little bit more
But
as a
that's
community.
Not
No, I
even
know, that's
close.
just for your information.
It's not close to
I
what you're
already-
saying,
I
but
do agree, and that's why I said twice, I do think it does need to go in the master plan, and we can work on that.
it needs to be talked about, it needs to be mentioned, but
The context that I would like to see
Mhm.
is that it's facilities that the town does not currently have
Mhm.
that it actually needs.
You can make mention of it and we can discuss it a little bit further. But it is something that's a lot of people, in my opinion, and what I've heard in the past, a lot of people feel as though we have a lot of activities and a lot of things to do on a natural basis in the town of Alton. So it's something that needs to be talked about as to what degree of a building you want to facilitate other activities other than what we already have.
Right, and I also think the key is the word need. It's a need, but who needs it? So
Right.
not everybody needs it.
That's right.
And so that's where the crux is. So I think that Tara, the need for community center for all ages was a high priority. I think that's a really great line because it says that it was a high priority, and we can elaborate on that, but we can't say that the town definitively needs
it.
this because
So what you
it
do,
Wants it or
we can
needs it,
func-
yeah.
We can literally function without it.
so the action item would be considered.
Consider-
Yes,
Yes,
yes, it's a consideration.
yes,
It's like the
So
magic
we
word.
identify the need and then you say consider. it.
yes.
Right, that's it.
I'm trying to remember the name of the town at the west end of the lake.
But how about this, right,
Hey,
Bob?
hold on. Let me finish my thought if I can. The town at the west end of the lake,
Center Harbor, Meredith,
Meredith,
there you go.
they have a they have a community center. I don't know if any of you folks have been up there at all.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's on Route 3, just north of
It's
the-
just outside of the center of
Mhm.
town.
Mhm.
And it was built through donations from the public.
Mhm.
but primarily from the Rotary Club. But
Okay.
it was not public money to put it up there.
Right, and I
Public
don't,
money
I
maintains
don't
it.
think that we have to say that here.
No.
The town should consider it. And one of the possible, if they think it's a good idea, one of the possible funding mechanisms could be philanthropy to get it
Correct.
done.
Right, so
Exactly.
I'm just gonna call a quick point of order here, right? I agree. I think we all are in agreement that it needs to go in the master plan for sure. I don't think this is the time to have the heavy conversation about it.
No,
It is a good mention, and I would say that you brought it up, that part of the recreational facility committee, we did have people go and tour the Meredith facility. We had people go and tour a couple of different facilities and speak with the people that initiated these projects to see how they funded them,
Mhm.
the different ways it could be done. The Pearson Road Community Center was built off of donations
That's right.
primarily, right? So again, when we approached the rec facility at the time, we did it the same way we did the master plan, broad and looking at a bunch of different things. That's all I can say to that. And I just feel maybe we can move on now and you and I can discuss that, put it in here, and then we can go over it again as a group,
yes, yeah.
just so we can kind of keep the meeting moving. Are we okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. Are you okay with
That's why
that?
your chair.
I don't want to be rude, but we do need to move it on, so.
Have you?
So what I hear is you're gonna talk about opportunities to expand the use of the Pearson Road Center and the need to consider a new something.
Pretty much.
Yes.
That sums it up, yes.
Yep. Because I also do think that the Pearson Road Community Center could be more if we utilized it better. And if
Yeah,
we start utilizing it,
Sure
I
could be.
feel like that could be a very good stepping stone to moving forward, right? So you need to have that in there.
But, and discuss ideas of what uses would be good.
Yep.
To facilitate in that facility, to upgrade it so it's not just a senior center.
And-
So that stigma goes away,
Right,
and that everybody wants
right.
to use it.
But I do like, as far as community programs and utilizing the building, it does come back to, like, Parks and Rec does not have the manpower
No.
to host
No.
a bunch of different things. Like, this is what it all comes back to, like manpower, volunteerism, all of that is the whole conundrum of
Mhm.
Anything else in that section before we move on to conservation areas?
No, I think that sums it up.
Okay. So, any thoughts on the conservation area? We have the Morse Preserve. Is this also Mike Burke Trail?
Yeah, I would, let me rewrite that section for you.
You go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's mostly there, but there's some errors in it.
Yep, go
Some-
for it.
So I'll
Absolutely.
fix it.
Yep.
Okay.
I think, and we now have a natural resources inventory, which I have to review, just came in as a draft last week.
Okay, yes.
So I'll look at that and I'll make sure that these are correct, whether they're fee, CEs, who owns them.
Okay.
And there'll be a lot more than there's in here.
Well, Russ, we've talked about, I think you've covered conservation land in the natural resources chapter.
Right.
The goal of this section is just to list the ones that have recreation activities on them, like trails. So
And
I don't think more detail belongs here.
no, what I'm just saying is that the list needs to be corrected a bit, okay?
Yeah, good. You just made me worried when you said a lot more detail, because would,
No, I just want to go and make sure that
Everything is
written
consistent
correct,
and it's
Yeah,
concise.
It's good.
Okay.
And then the other one, just to go along with that, there's nothing written on trails right now,
Okay.
and I can put that together for you.
Okay. Thank you. So that brings us to outreach and education.
How about public access? I think we went through this before. And there's
no,
no new question. Didn't we do this?
no, you
No.
haven't looked at recreation.
Yeah.
Just that, again, there's some overlap with the natural resources section.
I'll look at that too, if there's anything that needs, I don't want to make it longer, but this is all about recreation.
Yep,
So I'll look at that. So from conservation, public access and trails, I'll work those 3 sections for you.
Okay.
good.
Thank you, Russ.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we move on to outreach and education? Okay. So I have 6-8, page 6-8, outreach and education.
And then that was kind of like my observation that, you know, you have a ton of recreation opportunities, but you also had people in the survey saying you needed more. And I wonder if it's just that they're not as aware as they could be of what you have. I think you could make more of what you have.
I think what I found, this is just a random thought. What I have found most from speaking to department heads to being on committees and other things is just a lack of communication is a huge issue.
Usually is.
And that was the very number one takeaway from the community profile in 2018. That wasn't necessarily an actionable item. We did start working on a computer area that we could funnel all things into. But communication is a huge thing. I know when I spoke to Kelly Trundle, I guess Parks and Rec hasn't been able to get back in the school since COVID. So they have not been able to use the gym or anything like that, which would be helpful for the Parks and Rec department,
Yeah,
right?
no.
Clearly to have access to those. So I just think I don't know where we put that, but communication is a huge thing.
Well, it helps to have it on the webpage for the town webpage and Facebook.
Yep.
Having that from the department heads, which has been done by some of the department heads of
Yep.
actually putting it, and that's actually a big hit.
Yep.
In a lot of cases, but not everybody goes on Facebook.
I agree. Yep.
So it's important to also have it on a town website
Yep.
for all the education programs.
One thing that came to my mind during the discussion, and I don't know where it goes, is that as far as I can figure out, there are 3 column venues in the town. I'm talking about private concerns. There's the Veterans Facility, Cold Spring Farm, and the Christian Conference Center. Okay, those are 3. I don't know where that gets addressed in the master plan, but I do believe that there's a void or a lack of resources in that particular area. I don't know where it gets addressed.
I think
What-
facilities would go to somewhere in the rec. I don't know, because I mean, Cold Spring isn't,
All 3 are basically private enterprises.
Yes.
so
I think the only context that you talk about private enterprises would be if they were filling a public like need, you might mention them to say, well, we don't need to worry about X because Y provides it.
So a big thing that the ABA has been trying to do is it's really about community, right? We're not just business, we're business and community coupled together. So
Back to the community.
and just those relationships of having the town and the community come together. So for instance, during Old Home Week, the ABA sponsors and hosts movie night down in the Bay, and it's on the fields of the Christian Conference Center. So we utilize the conference center and we work with them to utilize their facility. We also do the same with Cold Spring Farm. Nothing like we're trying to maybe do something in the future that one of our events would be hosted at Cold Spring Farm to try to just bring in.
Okay, the context I'm thinking of is a little different than that.
Okay.
When my father-in-law turned 100, there was only one choice in town where we could have a party for him.
Mhm.
That was the veterans.
Mhm.
Okay, and now there was 2 choices, which is the veterans and Cold Spring Farm. But that's still,
But it's
People
the
who wanna
Veterans
have
Cold
some kind
Spring
of a
Farm
private-
and the Pearson Road Community Center.
we can't have alcohol there.
Oh, I did not know
Wow.
that. I wasn't thinking about
Yeah,
that
right.
because it's a CAP program. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you have a wedding without alcohol, and what do you have?
What's a wedding? Without alcohol.
So the point being that most people, if they want to have some kind of a family activity in the town of Alton, leave Alton and have it elsewhere. Gunstock is one option, not too far away, but
That's
you know,
not uncommon.
But
it
the Legion
is a lacking,
has hosted a lot of
correct.
A lot of
It's the
events.
Legion where we had my father-in-law's.
Yeah, and they
100th
host a lot of celebration of lives and everything.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But that's like one of the only choices around.
And
So
it's
I don't know if there's something you say in here or not. And I don't know where it goes.
mhm.
I guess I wouldn't unless you're
Yeah.
not proposing the town fill that need, and I don't think it's uncommon.
Right.
What's it-
No, it's not.
The Legion is the go-to place for a lot of larger communities like yours. Smaller communities go somewhere else.
There are function facilities that are available in town, but they're privately owned.
Right.
There's other ones that are privately owned, and there's another one up in Alton Mountain.
Yeah, I don't see it as a
Oh,
master plan
it's-
topic.
But there were two.
I don't think it's a master plan topic.
I don't know. It's something to be
Okay.
encouraged, I guess.
Okay.
But I don't know where it goes.
I'll have to think on that. I don't
Yeah,
know.
You want to be really careful about encouraging a particular type of business.
Right.
Yeah, because there might be some that didn't get mentioned and might be upset about
Right.
it.
Then it starts a
Yeah.
problem. It's probably better off not even mentioning it.
Yeah.
Like I said, from the point of view of someone who lives here, you want to have that kind of an activity for your family.
Well, the
Well,
one place I think we could make sure we've included is, and I think we probably have, when we talked about the new commercial district, we want to maybe say conference facilities, conference and function facilities
Yep.
are a use that would belong in the new commercial district. That's the right place.
That would be the place to put it
I
then.
think I agree.
So
Thank
I'll make a note to make sure that we've named that with other businesses that make sense there.
Awesome. That's why we pay you the big bucks, Tara.
Right.
Thank you. So outreach and education, ongoing maintenance, any questions? And then I see that Tara has some.
Ongoing maintenance.
Maybe this is something that you'll get back to me on too, Kelly, because it sounds like you're involved in a lot of that stuff. But
Can you say that again, Tara? I'm sorry.
would this that I highlighted in yellow be something that you could get back to me when you do your other,
Sure.
What
beef up
efforts?
some other sections? Could you do this too?
Yeah. Yep.
Because it sounds like a lot of the public-private partnerships are the ABA.
Yeah.
Oh, what?
ABA.
Maybe. No, there's a lot. There are a lot, like the garden club. And there's a lot of other private people that are doing yearly, sometimes twice a year, cleanups, major cleanups around Alton and Alton Bay. To get together, doing and picking up trash or cleaning up in the waterways and that type of thing. So there is volunteers.
Are you
Working on
speaking
that.
of facilities or what are you speaking of specifically, Tara? Private partnerships, i.e. trail sponsorship, cleanup days, schools.
Just
Okay.
talking about cleanup.
Yep, I
yeah.
get it. Okay, yep, yep.
Basically, there isn't enough town employees to do all of it.
No.
So there are people that do volunteer. And there are people that do pick up.
Does the water
Yeah.
bandstand committee deserve some mention in here?
So yes, Tara, what we'll do is we'll put together maybe more detail
Mhm.
of maybe like the volunteer efforts in town. We'll list those out and then we'll go over that again as a group.
Okay.
Yeah, and maybe we'll rename this section to
Yes,
highlight the volunteerism.
I think that's why I was confused because it said ongoing maintenance and that was different to me.
Yeah,
I was taking it the way I'm
Okay.
describing it. She's looking at
Yes, until I went and read it, then I was like, oh, okay.
what community effort is there to help
Right.
the town.
Right, we saw some comments in the survey with people complaining about upkeep of trails and parks, so that what I wrote, and then what else can we say about, well, let's not just rely on the town employees, but what other efforts are going on that we can highlight and build upon.
Yep,
So we'll rename this later.
okay.
Okay.
And then I just kind of went ahead and added, I like to include nearby things that are nearby public things that are also important to residents or visitors.
Yep,
With Gunstock and Belknap Mountain.
Mhm.
okay.
Do we want to talk about, people use Brewster Beach,
Mhm.
I mean, those are public beaches that are nearby, not in this town, but,
Well.
No, they're in Wolfboro, but
right.
Well, two of the beaches in Wolfboro now, the one on Cary Beach and the one on
Albert.
Wentworth, you have to have a
Right,
town.
You
You
need
have
to
to
get a
have proof
permit.
of being a town
I'm just
resident.
thinking about the ones that are still public, and I think Brewster Beach is still public.
yes,
Well,
think so.
Brewster Beach, anybody can go to.
yes.
Where is that?
It's in Wolfboro, it's just over the line from, very close to Alton, really, it's just
Mhm.
over the northern boundary.
And whose is it?
It's the town of Wolfboro.
And
Yes.
they let anybody go?
Yeah, it's a
Yes.
public beach,
Okay, so I'll add that here.
just trying to think if there's anything else that's like that.
Brewster Beach and then
And the other one.
Cary.
On the northwest end of Wolfboro, there's another beach at 9 Mile Bay,
Oh, way up there, yeah.
way up there.
It's a little.
So would that be something?
yeah, yeah.
that's not
Up
about-
in 19 Mile Bay.
19 Mile Bay.
There's one right there, right across the street, on like a little causeway.
I guess that's about the same distance from town as Gunstock is really, when you think
Yeah.
about it, from that part of town. Yeah,
So
so,
do a lot of Alton people go to both of those?
yeah, 19
Yep.
Mile Bay and Brewster Beach are open to
We
the
do.
public. And then what about golf courses? We still,
There's only one.
yeah, but you got
Well,
Kingswood.
actually, there's one public and one private.
Yeah, but okay, but there's Kingswood, right? That's public.
Kingswood. Public.
Right.
And
And then the private one is Winnipesaukee, right?
We would only talk about public.
Private.
Right, so Kingswood Golf Course is in Wolfboro.
Okay.
People do go over there from Alton.
Public as in publicly owned though, not as in you have to be a member.
It's open to the public.
Yeah, that's different than publicly owned.
Yeah.
We're not, right?
It's something that it's available as a resource to people in Alton,
Mhm.
you know?
But but the two examples she gave are just publicly owned. That's where she's making the
Right,
differential.
Yeah, that's where I'd draw the line.
Okay, so the Kingswood is privately owned, right? And then
Yes.
But you
Yeah.
can play.
Yes.
it. Okay, so it's
It's a
just
private club.
probably just the beaches that,
Well,
There's another golf course.
there's one in Farmington.
There's one in Farmington, but there's another one in New Durham.
That's a country club.
What's the name of that one?
No,
really?
No.
In New
No.
Durham. I can't think of the name of it right now.
there's a paintball place. But not a,
There's another one in New Durham. It's
That's
Wolfboro, New Durham
that's not
line.
public, though.
Oh, that's the Winnipesaukee.
yeah.
Club.
Oh, you're thinking of the Winnipesaukee Golf Club.
When you go out by Western Auto, you take a right.
Yep,
Yeah, that's private.
that's private too.
Yeah, they're all gonna be private.
That's big
Right.
bucks to go
Right.
there.
Yeah.
So I think we're pretty good with the recreation section. We all kind of all know what we're gonna do to work on it.
You did IT last time, but there's a few edits in it here.
Okay,
Okay.
so.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's all right.
Mhm.
And then I had some input on cell towers.
Right.
I had a brief chat with Josh today, and he commented that he thought that the section on the IT stuff was to his liking.
Oh,
Good,
good.
good.
I think,
Got a letter to all 3G phones, anything 3G is gonna be all gone, and I think US Cellular is gonna be one of the last ones.
this public engagement section is also added to the IT section.
Yeah. So does this say that we should replace this projector and screen with a large TV? Is that what we're talking about?
With the what?
Public, brought changes in the way public consumes information, hybrid meetings with option either online, all that. Talking about Alton should maintain and build upon the progress made in this area during the pandemic. Are we talking about facilities like here for meetings that are public? Is that what this is?
I would say so. Looking for that right now.
Yes, I believe so because of all the Zoom meetings that,
Well, I'm just thinking that maybe ought to be a little more specific and say that, and that, because we should say that as an action plan.
yes, that's a
That we
good
need
thought.
to have the infrastructure built into the town so we can do this. You know, if you have, for example, in the planning board, somebody wants to make a conceptual plan and they're from out of town, they could do it on the screen. They wouldn't have to come necessarily,
Right.
at that level.
Oh yeah, a lot of my boards are doing that, giving people the option.
Yeah.
Well, for our Rotary meetings, we went hybrid and we put together our own system up at the community center. using-
But some are doing it at a pretty low cost. One is just using a regular projector and good old fashioned projector screen.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I think I was like, I was at a meeting this morning and the whole setup was $1,500 and the screen is as big as what you see her,
Mhm,
the page,
mhm,
it's about that big
mhm.
That size.
on the wall. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we have a 50-inch TV at the community center, it works fine.
But I mean, even for here,
Yeah, even for here it would work, yeah.
any questions?
so anyway, do we want to say that a little more specifically, Tara, that we're really talking about considering, recommending that Josh figure out a way
Hi, Josh.
Just in time.
to get us a big TV
You heard his
screen?
name.
He says, I'm out of here.
Get out of here before he gets drawn into this.
Well, I don't know. I mean, that seems a little bit in the weeds for the master plan.
Yeah, okay. But I just wondered where this was going.
And I think there are potential changes to this room
Yeah,
to change the setup, but
And there-
it's
yes,
nothing's
there
in-
is.
Acoustics are
Yeah,
terrible.
You have an opinion on
stone
that?
yet.
It's not in stone yet, but there is gonna be
That's-
some
yeah.
improvements being considered
I
and
thought
pricing
that,
out in this room.
What if we do this? What if we say including improvements to the town hall meeting room?
yes,
That's fine.
yep.
Is that what it's called?
Is in the making, though.
yeah, this is a town
the
hall.
Selectmen's
second floor meeting room.
Conference room. Does this have a specific name?
Not really.
So
It's
second floor meeting.
second floor conference meeting room.
Yeah,
So
that's
That
usually
is
what
not,
I call it.
it's not specific to the selectmen, but
The theater.
it's going to
Oh,
be
well, yeah. that
more
makes
so.
sense.
There's gonna be a major change with how this is laid out.
Yeah.
And the selectmen will be here.
Or does this work? Including improvements to the town hall meeting room?
All because
hear.
Including
drywall,
improvements
it's all
to the
because
town
you
hall
here.
meeting.
Yeah.
That looks fine.
To
I think
avoid having a
it's
sprinkler
pretty
system.
basic, so that works. That addition that she just put on, including improvements to the town.
Yes, I
hall.
think
That's
it
fine.
works. Yes, sorry.
Yep,
Yes,
yes.
sorry, Tara.
We got sidetracked.
It's been a long week already.
I think that's it for changes and new stuff in here. So we need to talk about how to get in 2 months to be presenting a final plan to the to the planning board.
Yeah.
We're gonna have pretty big holes still.
Okay. I should probably take out my agenda. Historic infrastructure.
Specific conditions.
So we just discussed community facilities. Now we're looking at public input. Are we there?
Well, no, we did number 3.
We did number 3.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
4 and 5 are kind of the same thing, right?
Mhm.
Pretty much.
Transportation and community, the rest of the community facilities we need. I think, I don't want to speak for Jessica, but I think we probably can work within the budget for me to help Jessica finish up transportation, if that makes sense to you.
I think as long as Jessica's okay with that, that I'm okay with that. Is everybody else in agreement?
All right.
Yes, because I'm at the point that I definitely need some
You need some help?
assistance.
Okay.
Paul,
We've
you
got
were
2
working-
other committees, our CIP and Zach are starting up now, and there's just.
If you need
Is
me
there-
to take
is there
something
quite
off
a
your
bit
plate,
more?
let me know.
Quite a
But
bit.
there's some parts of it that I mean, the DOT stuff and whatnot that I can just, I don't need to be in town or have local knowledge to do. So
Yep.
let's look at that and divide that up. And then community facilities, you have some of the needs, but we're still looking for the background and somebody to take pictures of all this stuff.
Okay.
Well, actually, I took
Do you have
pictures
pictures of stuff? Yeah.
of all the town buildings and stuff.
Can you forward those over to Tara and
did I
CC
do?
me or?
What did I give them?
Or get them into Dropbox and let
I
me
was
know.
gonna say, can we Dropbox
Oh.
them?
No, I gave them to
Amy?
Somebody from Rotary?
Amy.
I'll get them from Amy.
Okay, can you have her send them?
Yeah.
Send them
I
over?
actually sent them to you.
No, I haven't seen them yet.
Okay, so assuming that those are good resolution and whatnot, how do we get the background for all to finish the community facilities section?
There was a lot of stuff written by Pat O'Brien for the CIP committee. They covered a lot of that.
How do we get
I
the
thought-
background?
Isn't that the needs? We still need the descriptions, like, here's this fire station and here are the big things and about it and when it was last removed and
Getting prices on that as we speak.
I feel like we're kind of, I mean, I've given the background and some examples a couple times, and I think you have changes in the membership of the committee and that stuff gets dropped.
What was it that you said, Paul?
Oh, just the roof at the fire station.
So we need a plan. We need a volunteer to work with me. I can start over with the examples and outline, and that person would need to do some homework and reaching out to the different department heads, I would imagine, to get the information we can get.
So. You and I can chat about that, Tara.
Okay. I can take what you did, Jessica, with the needs and get it in here and put the questions, the very specific questions
Yeah, that might be helpful.
to be the outline, right?
Yeah, yeah, because I took all those needs that department heads had sent
Yep.
last year and started that whole section.
Mhm.
Can
That's already done.
each department
just the
head just
needs.
describe
Just the needs, yeah.
what they have? Isn't it written somewhere like fire department?
We
has-
did, I believe last year, got a list of needs from department heads.
Right, but what we don't have is what comes before that, like what
Yeah.
area of town does this fire
Oh,
station
existing.
serve?
The fire department has
Yep.
so many trucks and it has a building that was built and all that kind of facts
Right.
somewhere.
Or the trucks part is only even important if, well, it doesn't, this fire station isn't big enough for the new truck, right?
Right. What,
I can, if you
No,
want,
it's
I
not.
can get more of that information from the chief.
I was gonna say from each one of them. So you have fire, Police,
each one of them.
same thing. Our building was built and blah, blah, blah. We got a Sally Port, whatever it's facts about it.
Mhm.
And then Public Works Department, I would think Scott Kimmon would be quite good at saying what they currently have.
Mhm.
And then you go to needs. You say, this is what we got, this is what we need.
Right, exactly.
And I think the source for what Tara's looking for is just get something from those guys.
Oh, yeah, I can do that. I will do that. I'll talk with each and every one of the department heads for the police, fire and public works.
So the land use department probably falls to Jessica. That
For the
prob-
town office, that we need police, fire, public works, the town hall.
Right. And so there, that I think you should get from your town administrator, basically, you know?
I'll just delegate some work to him.
Just say, Ryan, we need you to get this done.
Yes, we need to get this done.
But so I'll go ahead though and put in the needs and the questions so that you all have it to go around with
Yes, I just sent you all those pictures.
and examples.
So each one would have a picture. It would have a short write-up of what's there
Mhm.
today, where we currently are as the date of writing the plan.
Right.
And this is what we need.
This is what we need, this is what we have, and this is what we need. Yeah.
So you're speaking to the department heads?
I'll talk to all three of them.
Okay.
I'll talk to the fire chief, police chief, and public works director
And they should
on
be,
wants and needs.
they should be able to do that, you know, falling out of bed. It shouldn't be hard for them.
Yeah.
And also Kelly.
And Kelly.
So I'll send out the outline and examples again. So you have that? Or are you just good to go?
Why don't we try to generate what we can get, you know, from each guy?
From
And
each
you're
one
only
of them
talking
will-
about a half a page of stuff?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Tara, I don't think. you need to-
Combined.
I don't think you need to send out the
No.
examples.
No,
I'm saying that
no.
Each department should write
Okay.
about 5 inches of material.
Right, exactly. And I'll just discuss it with each and every one of them and then have them
And as,
forward that over to me.
right, and as a matter of fact, I did speak to Kelly when I spoke to her about the recreation, parks and recreation, and we did go over the building and how it's basically super duper small.
Is her,
And we're well aware
her
of it.
shop
For sure.
where she is now, if that gets folded into Public Works, will they still have to have that shop there? Or would all those activities move over to Letter S Road?
That all depends. That we'll see at the time. That's what we're discussing now.
Yeah,
As to what that facility would be used for if that were to be moved. And we determine what that property would be used for at that time. Whether it be redone, remodeled, taken down and start again.
Right.
Does that realignment have a place in the master plan?
Definitely. Those are the things we need to be getting in there.
And that's what we'll
Right.
discuss.
We don't have any action plan items yet, other than two under IT.
and we need a whole lot of action plan items for that section.
Right, I mean, I think that was driving the timing to try to be wrapped up at the end of the summer, so it then provides the foundation for this next CIP update.
Right.
Okay.
All right.
One thing we don't have in here is anything about schools. Did we decide we weren't going to talk about schools? I forget.
Yeah, somebody does need to do schools.
I reached out to both of the, I reached out to the principal and the assistant principal at ACS and the superintendent for both schools, and I got nowhere. Basically because it was the end of the school year.
Okay. We
It's-
probably need to talk to them again.
I'm glad you mentioned it. There is some interest and some talk about another school facility, public, that I'll be talking to, there's an interest of another school set up for maybe 90 to 100 students, to teach and educate more. In other words, these people are not totally happy with this current school systems that we have.
So are we talking about like having community college prep?
What
something like that?
particular age category are you talking?
From kindergarten to 12th.
Are you talking about a charter school?
Excuse me?
Are you talking about a charter school?
Possibly.
I don't think we
We'll be
would-
getting more information on. It's something that I'm gonna bring to you guys.
Oh, so it's not, so it might be chart. So it's not like a tech school or anything like that?
Not a tech school, no,
We wouldn't be that lucky.
no, but I'll get more information, and just has come up recently by people and concerned citizens of our current school system, and coming up with new ideas of
So
school system.
what
There
if,
is a move afoot at the state level, to
Mhm.
basically decapitate public schools in New Hampshire.
Okay, so I'm just
You
going
wanna-
you
to
gotta put
I
your
have
foot
no
down.
idea.
try to segue right
Hang
away
on.
from this.
Yeah, right.
Well, I'll let it finish.
And Tara, you can just move us along, please.
No, this will be very
I'll get
quick.
more info on it.
Well,
I do think as a statement of policy, the town needs to say something about support of public education.
Yeah, I mean, if we're talking about a charter school, that doesn't belong in the town master plan.
Okay, well,
But what does is a description of the schools where.
I am not sure.
Go, and do they expect to need an addition, or are we good? Kind of, we need that much.
I would think that they've already got that written up about, what their facilities are. how
Oh,
many
sure they
students
do.
they have,
Right, I'm sure on this. some
You
of the school
know, what's their
websites.
projection for
Yeah.
enrollments and
Yeah.
I mean, I can get enrollment, but they need the projection. would be good.
Get more
the
information.
curricula that they
Okay.
provide.
board.
and all
Yeah, we don't need that. We just focus on the building. So
Buildings, okay.
enrollment projections are important.
So enrollment and what we currently have for buildings and what they project for student populations.
Right, whether there's been a recent
That is
addition.
the school
or-
board?
I'm sorry?
Would the school board be an approach to go to
Yeah, that's what I would
for
think.
that, or do you do the superintendent?
Uh,
Superintendent might be the easiest to get. to.
I would reach out to the superintendent. I had already reached out once, so I will just do a
Well,
follow-up.
just tell them that, we're trying to finish this thing up by the end of the summer. We need your help.
Right, and I'm actually trying to get in touch with him as well right now. We can schedule something to
Okay,
have him come in
okay,
and talk to
Now,
the
the
CIP
C-
committee.
okay.
So if you will try to maybe coordinate together, if you
Yes.
talk to
Yep.
him, let him know
Sounds
I'm
good.
reaching
Yep.
out and I'll do the
Sounds
same.
good. Okay.
The CIP committee does have a separate section for the school stuff.
For school things.
Yeah, and whatever we do in the master plan needs to support that activity.
So is it already written in the CIP?
It's something that's addressed by the CIP.
The only thing I've
But-
seen about the
but it
CIP
doesn't
is a
have-
table, it doesn't have any text.
It also doesn't have the backup of the master plan. It's all done ad hoc currently.
So there is no write-up in the CIP.
Paul needs to leave because he has another appointment.
I have a 6 o'clock, so.
Okay.
Thank you for coming. We
But
appreciate.
no,
No.
thank you.
Yep.
Thank you all. You're welcome. And Tara, thank you. I have to go, but thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're pretty much done with our agenda.
Thank you, guys.
I'm careful.
Thank
I
you.
mean, the main thing was getting these assigned to people or reassigned.
Okay,
All right.
so everybody's clear with their assignments then?
So are you gonna, we have a meeting scheduled for a week from,
Hold 1 second. I want to make sure I'm writing down that Kelly's going to follow up with the school superintendent. Paul's going to do police, fire, public works.
Yeah.
I heard Jessica volunteered for the town office, but I didn't hear her say she was on that.
I moved right along, didn't I? Yeah, I will, I will talk to, the town administrator and we'll get something together in the town hall.
And then Kelly, does it make sense for you to do Parks and Rec since you're following up on some of that anyway?
Yes, I planned on doing that.
Okay. Is that everything now?
yeah, and I'll,
Oh, library. You must have a library.
yeah.
We
Yep.
do.
Somebody needs to do the library.
I can speak to Holly. And we're looking for what they have and just basically what they do there.
Yeah, what the building is and what they a general description of the library and what they see for the future and what they need.
Yeah, we don't care about, the only time we care about people and services is if the current buildings for something are inadequate for the number of people or services.
Okay.
Right, so the library has books and it has internet connection. And
It also has that meeting room
it has meeting
downstairs.
rooms
Like
downstairs.
a big issue, I don't know your library, but a big issue with libraries is inadequate room for handicap access.
Yeah, I think
That's a common
We
one.
have an elevator. Yep.
Yeah, just giving an example of like, that's the kind of thing that we want to pick up because we want to feed the CIP.
Okay. Mhm.
But we've written about needs, but we need a little bit of background, right? And when you've made big improvements in the past few years to something, that's important to say too. You want to kind of hit on the successes.
it's actually a nice little library.
Okay.
Nice library.
Anybody who wants examples, I'm happy to send them around.
And then Tara, I know that I'm gonna work on the Parks and Rec section and I will speak with Bob about that. And are you going to formulate an action plan or are we gonna do that after we beef it up?
Why don't I take a look at it and see
Okay.
if I think I have enough to start, or at least to facilitate a discussion about it.
Okay. Thank you.
I'm writing this down because I just said it, so I can start right action plan. I'm thinking the August 3rd meeting will be important because we're meeting with the planning board on August 2nd. And their input will be fresh in our minds. And you guys will need to talk about what to do about it.
Okay, so if we can try to make it a point to make the August 3rd meeting, if it's possible.
Yeah, this one time I'm just gone, so.
Okay.
And
Sorry.
I'm supposed to be on vacation too.
But I think that may be, most of that meeting, maybe we'll have more on the rec action plan and some of this, but we'll have it as we have it. But I know that, I was leaning toward, well, maybe we don't need that meeting, but I think we will want to regroup to kind of debrief on the planning board discussion and
I agree.
see what to do about it.
Okay, I do agree with that. So are there any other comments or questions? So we will meet next, the planning board will meet on August 2nd. I do plan on going. Anybody else is welcome to come as well. The more the merrier, always. And then we will meet as a group on August 3rd here at 6 p.m. to discuss what the planning board had discussed and anything else we can maybe squeeze in.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do our update on facilities. We'll check in on the infrastructure chapter.
Okay,
Bill, you'll be at that planning board
Yeah,
meeting?
yep. I'm putting it in my calendar right now.
Unfortunately,
Kelly?
the last
Yeah.
time we had a working group with the planning board, the only people that participated from the planning board were people who are in the developer business.
Right.
And it was kind of got nowhere.
anything else, Tara?
No, I'm good.
Okay, anything else from the group? Okay, then I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 5:48. Tara, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Everybody,
you,
thank you
Tara.
for coming.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
So August 3rd at 6, right?
Please.